Hello and welcome. I'd like to welcome all of our viewers. I'm Dave Biggie. I'm with Aquila. I'm responsible for international sales and marketing. With me today is Brent Vaughn. Brent is coming to us from well down under, down in Australia. And Brent is an Aquila dealer in Sydney and other parts, which we'll have him talk about here in a minute. So let me say welcome to the program, Brent.
Yeah, g'day Dave. Thanks for having us. Really great being here.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and technology is amazing. And through events in our recent month or two here, we've all become very familiar with how to use much of this technology. It constantly amazes me the time zone changes and how we can communicate. It's the end of our day up here. I'm in Florida today, and it's just the beginning of your day today. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's right. Juggling lots of time zones and new technology and new skills, but it's been a really interesting period, hasn't it? So
yeah. It's interesting. We're finding that it's bringing and developing new ways to sell boats. But before we get into that, just for our viewers' sake, Brent, tell us a little bit about Multi-Hull Central and where your locations are, services you offer, and just a little bit about the company, if you would.
Yeah, sure. So Multi-Hull Central has been established for about 7 years now. We have an office and a marina that we run in Sydney Harbour, right in the heart of the harbour. That's got a range of catamarans, as you can see behind us there, and a new Aquila 44 just arrived yesterday. In fact, it's not in that photo, but I'm pretty excited about that. And an office in Brisbane at the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron, which is a great location up there too, and a partnership in New Zealand. So, and we've got sales reps around the country, which is, we've managed to talk to people everywhere, which is really neat. So, but we focus and, really passionate about catamarans and multi-hulls in general. That's what we specialize in. And Aquila, as we call it here, is a big part of what we do down here.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we're very proud of what you've done for the brand and for the customers in the market. And I do want to ask you later about the popularity of catamarans in Australia. It seems very, very good. Before we do that, tell us a little bit more about you and your involvement, how you got involved with the company. I know you've been in the marine industry practically your whole life.
Yeah, that's right. I had a pretty unique, upbringing in that my family had a holiday home on a little island in the Great Barrier Reef, and sort of learnt to sail and scuba dive and water ski and pretty much every water sport imaginable up there, and got a real fondness for, island life and the sea. And obviously had a lot to do with boats during that time. And while going through uni, I worked at the local Marina on the mainland there. And really early on got a natural affinity with catamarans because, I got into racing, beach cats, which were very exciting to race. But also noticed the cruises coming through the islands were often more and more on big catamarans, which just seemed really comfortable. And the ferry operators all used catamarans. And I just thought, wow, this is just such a cool platform, and I can't believe more people don't use these. So I naturally gravitated that way, and my first job out of uni was with a catamaran manufacturer called Seawind Catamarans here in Australia. They were still are the biggest cat manufacturer Australian owned, and I worked there for 13 some years, and that was an exciting period. And during that time, we sort of played around with actually some power cats during that time as well. They built fantastic sailing cats, but during our time with developing and selling some power cats, it showed me some serious limitations that power cats that are designed from a sailing cat hull have. And so later on, Seawind moved overseas. I established Multi-Hull Central 7 years ago, and went hunting, or searching the globe for a dedicated power cat builder, someone that focused on it.
That's interesting.
Aquila.
Tell us, how did you become acquainted or familiar with Aquila in the first place?
Yeah, so I guess early on when I established Multi-Hull Central, I really wanted to have a dedicated power catamaran brand that we represented, because I noticed there's a definite opening in the market, both for people coming out of sailing cats that recognize the benefits of the stability and the efficiency and the space that a catamaran brings, and didn't really want to muck around with sails anymore. But also equally people getting into sailing cats for the first time from monohull motor yachts, who really didn't want to sail. They just wanted the platform, you know, the benefits that it brings, and they're trying to work out how to sail, and it really, you know, wasn't of that much interest to them. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious that the benefits of a cat in a power platform makes sense, but just no one had really focused on it so much as Aquila. And when I come across them doing my research, you know, I researched all around the world in various articles and boat shows, and come across some reviews that were being done at the time, and caught up with Lex, and I totally got into his vision, I guess. And I guess the innovative way he was approaching some of the designs and what he had in mind, and it completely spoke to what, you know, we were doing, and, you know, what our vision was as well. So ever since those early discussions with Lex, I've been on board 100%.
Yeah, no, that's great. You certainly were one of our early adopters, as we say. You know, it has always interested me in the, 30 plus years that I've been in the business, at the level of acceptance or enthusiasm for catamarans in the Australian market. Can you talk a little bit about why you think the boats are so well received and desired in your market?
Yeah, sure. I think it's got a lot to do with the natural surroundings that we cruise in. So Southeast Queensland, I guess, is known as the heart of catamaran territory, and it's really the gateway to the Great Barrier Reef. And you've got lots of shallower areas, you know, Moreton Bay and various bars early on that you've got to navigate your way over. And then certainly up inside the Great Barrier Reef, you know, a platform that you can live on that doesn't have a big deep keel, and that is efficient, so you can go, you know, further distances. So I think very early on, cats just made a lot of sense in that part of the world, and as more people got into it, you know, the same way I guess I got introduced to it, you know, being on an island, seeing these cats come through, you go, wow, that's really clever. It makes a lot of sense for cruising through these islands inside the reef, and I think, you know, there was just a lot of development early on in Australia. You know, some famous brands or names, designers that have come through, Crowther, you know, Shonning, Granger, Seawind, obviously over the years. Mm-hmm. And I think it has been, you know, a big part of the industry here for many years. It's just amazed me that the development hadn't really been sunken into the power side of things for so long, which I think is, you know, is obviously the next logical step the industry will probably go to, because so many benefits in that platform to be properly designed and developed on a catamaran with motors. So I think it's the big sleeping giant in the industry that you know, we'll see a lot of really exciting development over the next 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point earlier, the sailboats that are converted to power don't seem to deliver the same level of both performance, handling, comfort, carrying capacity, interior space, so many benefits of a boat when it's truly a power boat. What in your market area do customers, what sort of feedback do they give you when they are shopping and comparing? What do they like or even dislike about the comparisons they make when they're shopping Aquila with other competitive brands in your market?
Well, I guess there's two competitive brands. There's the, you know, the catamaran power cat brands that are out there at the moment. And certainly over time, I think there's a bit of an education that people are understanding the difference between a dedicated, powerboat hull, which is so different to a sailing cat hull, which is really designed to be pushed, from a center of effort with sails, not from, a couple of 300 horsepower motors pushing it from the back of the boat. So, it's a very different configuration, and obviously payload capacity and so on. Sailing cat hulls are definitely more sensitive to that, and it's a constant discussion we're having when people are looking at sailing cat hulls or buying a sailing cat. And obviously, there's a logical point where you go, well, are you really wanting to go sailing, or are you just wanting to go cruising and likely to be motoring? Because there's a far superior platform to do that on, and it's a power catamaran that's designed with a hull that can handle the sea, at a bit more speed, and is not so sensitive to the weight that you would expect on that sailing shaped hull. And then you've got people coming in out of motor yachts who step on board an Aquila for the first time and just are blown away by the space and the fact that you're not so cramped, on board and in the cabins. It's just wow,
Yeah.
For a 44-footer, it's a boat you'd expect to see, the cabins on a 55-footer when you're on a motor yacht. So I think there's a coming together there of different worlds, and that's where the Aquila sort of fits very nicely as a comfortable, spacious, affordable platform. It's got great floor area for living, and very manageable for people that don't want to go sailing so much and just want to go cruising,
Yeah.
So and I think as more people wake up to it and are introduced to the concept over time, it'll just make a lot more logical sense, and we'll just see so much more growth in this area. It's obvious.
Yeah, for sure. There's an iconic photograph that we have used in a number of our advertisements and brochure shots, and it's in front of the Opera House, and it's our 36 Aquila. This is an outboard powered catamaran. If you would share with our audience how that boat is received, how it's used, feedback you've gotten from customers. Let's talk about the 36 as a specific model for a minute.
Yeah, the 36 is a really neat package, and for Sydney Harbour, it's probably the perfect boat, and even the local ports around here, because it's Sydney Harbour, and then we have Port Hacking where I live, and Pittwater to the north, and the people that use and own these boats, I guess what they're getting is a lot of the benefits and accommodation, entertaining space you'd seek to have on a big motor yacht, but if in reality you're going out for day trips, weekend trips, and wanting to get somewhere fast, you can do it all in this fantastic little innovative package. So yeah, for Sydney Harbour and the surrounding ports here, and equally on the Gold Coast, also really popular boat. Get somewhere fast, lots of entertaining space, great fishing platform as well, and the big bow riding section allows essentially two groups sometimes, teenage kids and so on, they can do their own thing up front. And what's really exciting is this new cruiser version, the closed-in door option. We've just had one arrive here on the Gold Coast last week, in fact, and I think what that will do is really allow that boat to go much further afield. We'll see people start exploring up inside the reef in Queensland, because it offers a bit more internal, I guess, comfort and security for overnights and longer range stuff. So really interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, perfect boat for Sydney Harbour, perfect boat for the Gold Coast, and anyone that sees it just falls in love with it immediately.
Yeah, the cruiser option that you're talking about with the solid glass bulkhead on the back, or the sliding doors on the back, Do you see that boat being able to extend the boating season? Is there a time of year that typically boaters would say it's getting too cold to be boating, and that boat can extend that opportunity?
Well, I think in Queensland, the season's year round, but what it'll probably allow to do is close it in to provide a bit of air conditioning comfort up north. You know, that's real tropical areas the further north you go in summer, I guess. And I guess just some internal comfort for people who want to live on the boat, to put some of their personal items. But certainly in places like Sydney Harbour, it does get a lot colder during the winter months, and Melbourne for that matter. But the winter months are sometimes the most beautiful out on the harbour here. You know, like you get these beautiful blue sky days, mild weather, no wind, and the perfect days to head out, to the Shelf to do some fishing, or, back and forth up between Sydney and Pittwater, the local ports here, offshore. And it's a great offshore ride in the 36. I think it's one of the most underrated, unspoken about rides, is the hull shape and how it handles a bit of sea offshore that boat. It's an exceptional ride. So yeah, I think it'll give it legs in more of the winter months. So it's not just a day boat; it's a overnighter, weekender, weeks at a time, even doing some longer range stuff. And certainly at winter,
yeah,
people are itching to get back out on the water at the moment here, and it's just turning cold, so perfect right now down here.
Yeah. It's the 36 Cruiser is going to be a very popular boat in a number of markets, but it's interesting to hear how you see it fitting into your backyard. That's exciting. The other model that you have had very good success with is the Aquila 44, and this is a big boat. Maybe let's talk about that boat and talk about which of the features on it seem to be real attractive offerings for boaters in your market.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to what I was saying before. Certainly some of the first boats we sold were sold to people coming out of sailing catamarans that instantly recognised the benefit of a nice big stable open platform. And over time we've seen more and more people come out of motor yachts into that boat. And I think, the minute you walk on the boat, and particularly look at that forward, master stateroom, it's just, a mind-blowing thing to see on a 44-footer. And I think the accommodation space and the entertaining areas, the flybridge on the boat's outstanding. You've got 2 seating arrangements with a wet bar and space for barbecue, and just the way you move around the boat with the forward stairs down to the bow, and big open walkways around the side of the boat. It's just very easy to move around on. Big open, good accommodation and entertaining spaces. And I think it speaks to people who want to do some cruising, up the coast, but equally have their families out on the boat, for a weekend or entertaining. It's a very versatile package. And value for money, again, for 44 feet, it packs in a huge amount of value, particularly when you're comparing to other motor yachts, to get that sort of size and space. So it's been a natural winner for us ever since we introduced it into Australia. And we just launched a new one yesterday in Newcastle, which has made its way down to Sydney Harbour. And we have another one coming in a couple of months to Sydney here as well.
That's exciting. And that's a model, I believe, that we've now shipped in excess of 100 of them globally. So there's a huge fleet of them around the globe. A number of the boats that we have shipped, the owners have made long journeys over time. In other words, they've spent, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month on the boat cruising. Is that anything in your market? Do you have owners that are using the boats as a long range or longer term cruising model?
We've had some very keen fishermen take the boat out to the reef and the outer shelf. So, Brett Foster had Hull 21, uses that extensively for, long range trips to some of the really nice fishing spots up in Queensland. And the first boat we brought in, hull number 18, went to Western Australia, and they take the boat over to Rottnest Island, which is only a day trip away, but they did some really cool mods to that boat to set them up to essentially live on that boat over at Rottnest Island, long term. You've got a utility room and their starboard aft bathroom arrangement there.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and a big stand-up fridge. And they made some nice mods there and used their boat and loved their boat, and that was hull number 18, and the boat we launched yesterday was hull number 102. So there's been a lot happened since then. A number of the other owners are still sort of working towards that. In fact, hull number 104 that we've got coming here in Sydney in a couple of months, that will be the owner's second Quill 44. So, and they're chartering those boats. So they have one in the Whitsundays, which is our sort of tropical island destination.
Yeah.
And one will be run by our charter company here in Sydney Harbour. And we're really excited about that. I think it's going to provide a really unique product in the Sydney market for not only overnights and special sort of cruises over a few days. We're packaging some neat stuff at the moment. We'll do like a foodies tour of Sydney Harbour. You can go to some of the best waterfront restaurants on the boat and then spend the night, on the boat in a nice anchorage somewhere and look at the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge in the background. So some really cool things like that we can do, but also the fact it can take, I think, 36 people on the boat for a day trip, which is very popular in Sydney for Christmas corporate parties and things like that. So that's been really exciting, and I think certainly our local tourism market, they're pretty optimistic about doing well here over the next year or two. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, we've got some really passionate owners here that love their boats, and the fact that they're lining up for a second boat is, a real testimony to the design, I think.
Yeah, that's a good sign. That speaks to both the boat and to your care. How you service and take care of those customers. And on that note, I know you have a service team. Maybe just describe for us kind of that overall broad brush view of your customer service efforts.
Yeah, I guess I decided really early on that I'm a lifer in the industry. I don't want to do anything else. This is something that I'm really passionate about and love. So, every time we sell a boat, I guess for us it's the lifetime relationship with that customer, not just a single boat. So we hope people come back for their second and third boats. I've got plenty of customers that are on to their fourth boat. I think customer service is really important, and we have a dedicated service manager, Brett, based here in Sydney, and also helps with some of our charter work. And they coordinate various warranty jobs. He does a great job of organising warranty all around the country with tradespeople that we've got relationships with that have proven they've got good skills and reliability. And so we essentially have service bases at our marina here in Sydney, at our facility in Brisbane, and Airlie Beach, where we have a lot of charter vessels and trades people that we know and trust. And I think the service and backup from Aquila has been outstanding. They sort of back us up and make sure we get jobs and work done, efficiently, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned charter base again. I wanted to drop back to that topic. I know that in the United States, MarineMax has had tremendous success utilizing charter as a way for people to become familiar with the brand. They can rent a boat, try before you buy, sort of a phrase I've heard. Do you have any of that type of activity with the boats that are in charter service in Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the Whitsundays, that's the way a lot of people have their first great experience on these boats, and it's just a wonderful way to introduce your family into cruising and boating in a really, beautiful environment up there, with the support of professional charter operators and managers that can sort of look after you, and you can have a bite-sized experience and come back and ponder the future. And really that's why we established our charter business that we call Charter Boat Central, to manage a small fleet of vessels, essentially, that we can help demonstrate to customers who want to have experiences to test a boat, or to have a bite-sized experience before they go and buy a boat. But also for us to help provide training experiences. We run training programs on the other cats, and we'll be doing the same for the Power Cat. So people coming into these for the first time don't get so overwhelmed with, trying to learn it by themselves and making silly mistakes. We can show them the ropes and give them accredited training along the way. And equally, it allows a few of our boat owners who we manage vessels for to enable them to buy a boat and have it professionally managed and well looked after, and have a nice little business on the side for them running their boat. So it's a really nice win-win for everyone. We're not planning to be the biggest charter company out there, but we certainly want to have the best boats and really great experiences. So I think that's a nice little add-on. But certainly anyone that is curious about getting on a Power Cat and seeing whether it's a lifestyle for them, or the sort of boat, it's a fantastic way to experience, whether it's here in Sydney, but certainly the Whitsundays is a magical location. Fly in and spend a week up there, and the problem is once you do it, you're stuffed. I mean, your family wants you to buy a boat, so
you're hooked. Well, and what a great concept there in Sydney, because it seems like for someone that may be new to boating, maybe a little apprehensive about what they don't know, but they know that they enjoy it. Being able to have you as somewhat of a partner or a steward to watch over their investment and guide them through that whole process, that seems like quite frankly, an excellent marketing plan, but it also allows people to fulfill their dream of boat ownership.
Yeah, and that's how the Aquila 44 that we've got coming this year. I mean, they originally started with one of the sailing cats that we managed for them. Well, actually not for them back then. They were running their own charter business, but they saw the benefit of it and the benefit of us running their boat later this year. And for the other boat owners that we have, it's a great way so they don't have to worry about their boat being looked after. We've got specialist service people that do all of our warranty and boat commissioning, also lending a hand to manage the vessels and keep them maintained. And we have a little club here that we run, that we do weekly sailboat races and other social events, and the training aspect that we've partnered with a sailing school. Sydney's worked really great with the sailing cats, but I think equally to provide some powerboat training, not only for the boat owner, so they can learn the ropes and gain some confidence around moving the boats into tight marina spots, for example, is a great way to get started. And equally, people buying their first big boat for the first time, come out of smaller boats, and this is a first big boat venture. It's a nice way to sort of, get into it with the support, of some people around you. So,
yeah, Aquila, you've been with it since the beginning. You've seen the growth. They have some very ambitious plans and aggressive product development underway. Is there anything about any of the new products that you have some insight on that you feel is appropriate to share in your market? Not to put you on the spot, but
Listen, I'm seriously excited about the Aquila 54. I think that's going to be an absolute game changer, not only for our market, but I think internationally. I think people really stand up and take notice of what the segment has to offer, not just the brand. So, you know, what they've done with the layouts and the styling of that boat, I think has really jumped another leaps and bounds. And the 70, which is, you know, it's an enormous machine, is also exciting. But I think some of the other products, and this is like I think you said, aggressive development going on. It's extraordinary what's happening there. I mean, the ribs coming through, I think, are really cool. You know, and an exciting thing that will certainly be putting on the back of many catamarans in this country. I think, again, for the same practical reasons that people buy big catamarans also equate to small catamarans. And talking to Lex the other day about the hydrofoiling. I mean, I'm an America's Cup junkie, and you know, the foiling technology that was developed through that, and the fact that you know, Gino Morelli was involved with the hydrofoil design that's being attached to the Aquilas is very exciting, because and I think they're approaching it the right way. It's not about getting this boat completely out of the water, which is pretty hair-raising. It's just using it to the pure efficiency of lifting the boat a little bit out of the water and increasing your hull efficiency, your fuel efficiency, but still being completely controllable. And I think it's just an obvious thing that, you know, it's been played around with on different boats, hydrofoiling, for many years. But I think Lex has got the real right approach, and it'd be exciting to see that on some boats in the future, particularly the bigger ones, to be honest. I think, you know, seeing some power boats that can increase their fuel efficiency just by attaching something that's, you know, obviously highly engineered, but pretty simple in reality. You know, it's not moving. There's no, you know, rake adjustment or anything in it like on the America's Cups. It's static. It's attached to the boat. You set and forget, and you just enjoy the economy of it. And, you know, I mean, there's a cost of it up front, but I think when you look at the life of these boats that are, you know, 20 years on, the fuel benefits that would have given that vessel over that time will be huge.
Yeah, the conversations I've had with so many people about the foil, the logic part of it is you can spend a certain amount of dollars to do an engine upgrade, or you can spend that money on a foil. It's about the same dollars, the dollars trade. The difference, though, is over the life of the boat, when you can get a third more efficiency out of your fuel, you think about that. Think about, if I knew I have a 30% more range or a third more range, can I go farther, or can it cost me less to go for a long weekend? Or the efficiency benefits far more quickly pay back any difference in cost when you talk about adding that to the boat. And the theory behind the foil being it's an assist. It assists in lifting the boat and reducing the drag, unlike the America's Cup, which, I mean, you're flying. You're truly flying. Yeah. This is kind of like, I don't want to use the word tail dragging, but that's kind of an aeronautical reference, I guess. And to your point, it's very reliable, very predictable. I think it's gonna radically change how people see boats, especially in the power catamaran business. So yeah, it's exciting. And the 36s that you have in the market, I understand you have some that can be retrofitted. Is that accurate?
Yeah, some of the later models we can retrofit. So I think once we start seeing some of those boats with them out there and the results, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some retrofits happen. But I think, to your point, and I think it's a really good point that you make, in that the hydrofoil is there to assist with lift, where you can go down the same path by putting more power on the boat to assist with lift and pushing the boat out of the water. So you can potentially offset pushing the boat with bigger motors, or substituting that with the hydrofoil, smaller motors with more efficiency, and over time, like, the benefit will be exponential, I would think. But yeah, we're hoping that we'll get one of those down here very soon and start playing with it. And I think maybe even in the commercial side, we have an opening in our fleet for a charter Aquila 36. We'd love to have, running and managing here in Sydney. I think that would probably be a logical thing to do with that boat, because they'd be obviously running a lot of engine hours on it, and might pay for itself, shorter than most.
Yeah, certainly. The market in Sydney, tell me a little bit about promoting the brand and marketing. Now you have traditional boat shows. When are those, and what shows will you be displaying in?
Yeah, so I mean, this year's a little bit odd, obviously, and we've had all our boat shows cancelled on us, which is a real shame. But next year we'll be at all the shows again. So the first will be the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show on the Gold Coast in May. We have the Sydney Boat Show in late July, early August, and then we also do the Auckland Boat Show every year, which is usually September. So that's next year, but this year we'll be probably running some little micro boat shows on our own here in Sydney and in Brisbane. Once we have some boats, new boats to show and demonstrate, and we will be doing some really cool video demos, I guess. We're doing more boat demonstrations to really help, I guess, give people insights to how the boats are operated and the benefits and where they sort of sit in the marketplace, actually on the water, as opposed to just sitting static at a boat show. So I guess the force removal of the shows is really allowing us to develop some more of those marketing strategies as well, which I think is a healthy thing to do. It's really helping us explore some other opportunities for customers to understand the boat. So.
And I think I've been made aware that you have, you've also done some smaller private events, some more intimate events. How would someone get involved if they were interested in seeing the boats and meeting you and your team on a more intimate basis?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do small inspections and viewings of vessels, all around the country. So we have a sales team pretty much in many areas of the country. So just get in touch with us on either our website, which is multihullcentral.com, or email us, sales@multihullcentral.com, and we can set you up with an inspection with one of our sales team to have a look at either range, either model of the Aquilas that we've got in most locations now around the country. So that's pretty simple to do. And there's no boat show required to do that. And often it's sometimes more rewarding to sit down with the hustle and bustle of a show and get a proper tour of a boat, and even maybe a demonstration if you're keen to go to the next stage. So that's quite easy to do.
Yeah, that's great. Your team has been very active in YouTube. I feel like I know many of the people that work with you just because I watched their videos on YouTube, but there's a lot of material or content that you have published onto YouTube as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we've got a really active YouTube channel that we call Sabbaticals by Multi-Hull Central at the moment. So the idea of that is, I guess, giving people really good boat demos and showing how they are on the water as much as they are at the marina or at the dock, but then equally strategies in around ownership. So whether it's charter boat ownership programs, syndication programs, and some of the secondhand boats that we move as well. So yeah, we're diving big time into the YouTube space, and some of our videos are over 300,000 views, which is extraordinary. And we've only really been doing it for the last 12 months. So we're sort of taking it a bit more seriously now. So it'll be interesting to see where it all goes. But certainly, watch some space here in the future for some new Aquila videos coming out over the next few months. Excited to get them out there.
Yeah, that's great. You're very much a part of the Aquila family, because you embrace the product, and your team is very passionate about it, which is exciting for us to see around the globe. And I know you've traveled pretty much around the globe showing and selling Aquilas. We've personally seen each other in France and in the U.S. Where else have you been in your travels?
Yeah, I've been to lots of boat shows around the world. The States is a really great place for us to get. I used to do the Miami Boat Show every year, and we get there when we can. Cannes Boat Show in France obviously is a really important one, and Le Grand Motte down there as well. Dusseldorf Boat Show in Germany. The Genoa Show in Italy, and obviously New Zealand. The Auckland Show is important for us here. I think it's really important to get out and see, the industry and see the innovation that's happening out there, and different people in the industry, and catch up. I mean, a lot of my friends are scattered all around the world that we usually catch up at boat shows, so it's quite unique. But yeah, it's something I've been doing for 21 years now. In fact, I think this year is my first year off doing our local boat shows here in 20 years. So, but it's a fun place to catch up with everyone. And it's a really important thing, I think, for customers, to get to see a big range of boats, and pretty quickly you can understand what they all look like and how they work. But equally, I always say, make sure you get out for a run on a boat too if you have the opportunity, and see it up close without the hustle and bustle. Sometimes that's great. But yeah, this year's hibernation this year, and look forward to the boat shows again next year, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to compliment you, because I know you have worked hard to build the business and the team that you have. It's very clear what a great resource you are for the boating community, especially those customers that are loyal members of your boating family. And I'm proud that Aquila is part of that, and want to thank you for all that you've done for the brand and the market, and taking care of the customers. And it's been a good run, and I think it's just getting better and better. So it's been very, very rewarding.
Yeah, thanks very much, Dave. And we, as I said to Lex not long ago, we're Aquila's #1 fan down here. We're big advocates of the brand, and really the vision, I guess, of where it's going and what it stands for. We're big fans, and really exciting times ahead. So we're very happy to be associated and part of the family, as you say.
Well, that's great. And just a reminder for our audience, you're very active on all the social media channels, but multihullcentral.com locally if you want to get a hold of Brent, and aquilaboats.com if you need any additional information on the product line or have any other questions. But we're all here to serve the boating community, and as I like to say, we're changing boating, one hull at a time. We just get to do it with 2 on our catamarans.
Twice as fast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, yeah. Brent, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to visit with us. And as always, keep up the great work, and happy boating.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. And we'll catch up with you in the next boat show.